All right, let's get right into it. Today we're doing a deep dive on a historic house at Cornell, Sigma Phi. So if you're on campus and you've been thinking about it, we're breaking down a detailed review to give you everything you need to know.
So let's just put the big question right on the table. Should you rush Sigma Phi? I mean, it's a big name, right? Epsilon of New York. But is it actually the right move for you? That's exactly what this entire explainer is designed to help you figure out.
Okay, but before we get into the history and the vibe and all that, we have to hit the brakes. There's one massive, crucial update you need to know right now. Formal rush? It's paused. Yeah, the chapter is in a full-on rebuilding phase, which means they are not recruiting like normal. This changes the entire conversation. So let's break down what that actually means.
All right, so to make sense of this whole thing, here's how we're going to tackle it. We'll look at the current situation, then its brand and heritage, check out the numbers, measure the all-important brotherhood vibe, give you a playbook for how to approach this, and then finally, the verdict.
Okay, Section 1, the current situation. What is actually going on with this chapter today?
So here's the deal. After a deferred suspension for hazing back in 2023, the chapter is basically being rebuilt from the ground up. This isn't a student-led thing. We're talking about a formal, structured process led by alumni and their national org. So forget everything you think you know about a typical rush. This is a super carefully managed return with a ton of oversight, and they're not even planning on recruiting new members until the 2026-27 academic year.
So if they're not even rushing right now, you might be thinking, why do I care? Well, it's because the brand, the history, that's all you really have to go on right now. So let's dig into what Epsilon of New York really means. What's the identity of this place when it's running at full steam?
And these vitals, man, they tell a story. We're talking 1890. That's old school. Nationally, it's a small, very selective group, not one of those massive fraternities. And their house, the lodge, is basically a landmark. So right away, you get the implication. This isn't about huge parties. The entire culture is focused on these tight circles, on ritual, and on a really, really strong connection to the alumni network.
And this quote from the source just nails it. You joined for tight circles, ritual continuity, and alumni continuity, not for weekly chaos. That says it all, doesn't it? The whole reason to be here isn't volume, it's depth. It's for guys who are looking for a network that lasts a lifetime, not just a party for the weekend.
All right, enough with the history and the vibe for a second. Let's get real. Let's look at the numbers. It's time for a reality check to actually quantify what you're getting with this chapter today.
Whoa. Okay, this bar chart tells you everything you need to know. Just look at that gap. The alumni value, a solid 65 out of 100. That's huge. It means the network, the professional connections, that's legit. But then look at the day-to-day stuff. The chance of hooking up is at 22, and the classic frat lifestyle experience is all the way down at 18. It's so clear, right? The value here is all long-term, not right now.
So all that adds up to this, a final overall score today of just 28 out of 100. And yeah, that's low. But, and this is a big but, it's low because of the pause. You gotta look at the potential. The source says a successful return could push this up to around a 58. Now that would be a whole different ballgame.
Okay, now we're getting into a really interesting, kind of unique part of this review. The source uses this metric they call the homoerotic level scale. And look, before you jump to conclusions, this has nothing to do with sexuality. It's an analytical tool, a way to measure the type and intensity of closeness and bonding you see in a fraternity. It's pretty clever.
So where does Sigma Phi land? They're pegged at a level 4, which is called the bromance tier. And this is all about healthy, supportive friendship. It's not about crazy stunts or performative stuff. Think about it like this. It's the guys who will actually run mock interviews with you, who'll fix your tie before you go to a formal, who you'll cook meals with. It's real, practical support. Genuine, functional closeness.
And just to give you some perspective on what level 4 really means, let's look at the rest of the scale. A level 2 is just a club. You just hang out in groups. A level 6 is where you get into that rowdy, over-the-top, performative jokey territory. And a level 10, well, that's an actual physical relationship. So you can see, level 4 is this really specific sweet spot of supportive, practical brotherhood.
So why are they a level 4? It makes perfect sense when you think about it. It goes right back to their whole identity. A culture that's all about heritage, discretion, and standards is naturally going to produce this kind of warm, competent closeness. It's a place that values guys who have each other's backs over guys who are just loud.
Okay, we've done the analysis. Now let's talk action. Let's get into the playbook. Because even though there's no formal rush, this is a critical time for networking and positioning yourself. So if you're actually interested in being a part of this rebuilding effort, how do you do it? How do you present yourself?
This is basically your blueprint. The vibe you need to project is discreet, dependable, and serious about your academics. For your look, think smart casual Ivy. We're talking Oxford shirts, chinos, loafers. Nothing flashy. And your demeanor? It's all about a firm handshake, putting your phone away, and listening way more than you talk. Remember, discretion is everything here.
And check this out. The source gives a perfect example of a 30-second pitch. This is gold. Notice how Alex here is super specific. He gives his major, says he's looking for a smaller, standards-driven place, and then, and this is the killer move, he says what he's going to do for the fraternity. I'll own alumni outreach. He's not asking for a spot. He's applying for a job. He's a contributor from the jump.
And this is just common sense, but it needs to be said. The do's and don'ts. The green flags? Simple stuff. Send a thank you note. Ask questions that show you've done your homework. Offer to do the boring, unglamorous tasks. The red flags are just as obvious. Don't, under any circumstances, start flexing about how much you party. Don't trash other frats. And don't treat the brothers like they're just gatekeepers you have to get past.
Think of this as your study guide. You know these questions are coming. Why Sigma Phi specifically? Your answer should be all about heritage, discretion, and standards. What do you bring to the table? You need to have a specific role in mind, like I'll handle alumni ops. And define brotherhood? Don't give a fluffy answer. Talk about reliability and respect. Real, actionable things.
All right, we've covered a ton of ground. The current situation, the brand, the numbers, the vibe, the playbook. So now it's time to pull it all together. Let's get to the final verdict.
At the end of the day, it's a simple pros versus cons list, and both sides are pretty heavy. On the pro side, you've got a legendary brand name, a clear, mature identity, and an absolutely top-tier alumni network. But the cons are just as real. You literally can't join right now. There's no social calendar, and when they do come back, they're going to be under some serious scrutiny. So here's the bottom line. This is a fit for one type of person, someone who's playing the long game. If what you want is a low-drama, high-standards house with a name that's going to look amazing on your resume 10 years from now, this is a fantastic bet. If you're looking to party this weekend, absolutely not. You need to look somewhere else. And that's really what it all boils down to. We've given you the data, the culture, the strategy. Now the ball is in your court. You have to look at your own goals, for college and for life. So, the final question is for you to answer. Is the long game the right game for you?